Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I am here with my weekly wrap-up. I'm going to go over all the books that I read for this first week of November. Time is just flying. I read a ton this week. I think I have, 13 books to talk about. Some were novellas. There were quite a few novellas, so it's not like I read that big of books. So hopefully I'll go through those quickly because I don't want to film an hour video today. I just don't. So let's go ahead and dive into my weekly reads. Okay guys, I just want to say off the bat, I don't know if my lighting's really bad, but one of my ring lights went out. And so sometimes I need 2 ring lights because my house gets super dark. I'm filming like right next to a window, but it still will be kind of dark. I'm sure you guys, whatever, you guys don't really care. These are the things that I stress over, but I need to get another one because it broke. But anyways, let's get started. Let's not have me just go on to random tangents in the beginning of this video because I have a lot to talk about. And I also want to film a trope rec video too after this. So I want to get this done quickly. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book that I read was Club 22 by Tate James. This is the 3rd book in the Hades series. I got this on audio on my Libby, so I had to really get this read at the beginning, even though I had other ALCs I had to get to because people were waiting, so I was going to lose it. And so I really want to get through this series. It is not my favorite series. Honestly, I've only read one other series by Tate James. I read the Madison Kate series. I freaking loved it. I think that was in the height of my loving reverse harem, white shoes, whatever you want to fucking call it. I really love that series. This one has just been kind of a solid 4-star okay to me. It just hasn't really blown me away. This is the 3rd book, so I can't really dive into a lot of it, but basically we have Hades, and she is, her name's Hayden, but she goes by Hades. She basically runs like her own gang, and she is involved with 3 guys, Lucas, Cass, and Zed. Zed is her right-hand man. He's been her best friend forever. He was also her ex, who was super abusive to her best friend. And so that ex is returned from the dead kind of thing, is after her and bringing her and her men down type of. Anyways, it's an ongoing plot through all the books. This one picks up right after the cliffhanger of the 2nd one, which I can't really say because it'll ruin that. So I'm not really going to dive too much into this one. But this one goes deeper into her relationship with her 3 guys. I liked this because we finally get somewhere with Zed, because in the previous 2 books, she was just keeping him as a friend because of the trauma from her ex and like how he knew all that. And she just didn't want to ruin their relationship. But Zed was obviously in love with her, you know, and then obviously she gets closer to the other guys. And then we have more of the gang plot. This one was actually really long. I felt like it dragged on and on for me. I still gave it, I think, oh, I didn't even put it here. I still gave it, I think, like 4 stars because it's solid. It was good. There was a lot of action going on, a lot of the gang stuff, a lot of suspense elements. I just don't know if this really needed to be dragged into like 4 books, you know, but I think that's kind of what she does with her series. So I liked it, but I felt like it was a little long. It does leave off with another cliffhanger, and so now I need to get to the last one and see what's going to happen because she feels betrayed yet again. It's like the last one was a betrayal, now this one's a betrayal, so I don't know. It's just not blowing me away. I also don't really love that over-the-top badass heroine where she's got her Desert Eagle guns and she slits a guy's throat out of nowhere, and it just feels so unrealistic to me, and that all these badass men are following this chick. Like, I know maybe that's not me being feminist or like women empowerment, but it just felt a little far-fetched to me. But anyways, gave it 4 stars. Then I had the ALC for Goal Line by Julia Connors. This is the 4th book in the Boston Rebels series. If you know, this was the previous book in the series was actually like a big surprise to me because I randomly picked this up, and like as you can see from the cover, it's very like cutesy, you know, animated cover, and I'm really not into those. So usually I wouldn't have picked it up. But I was blown away by the previous book. I loved it. I really loved her writing. I thought she wrote a lot more mature sports romance, and I was just really impressed. So I really wanted to get this one, so I was glad I got it. This is between Luke and Eva, and they are best friends. This is between a pro hockey player. He is the goalie for the Boston Rebels team, and this is the coach's daughter, but they grew up together, so they were very close, very like best friends their whole lives. She is a figure skater, and he's basically been kind of like friend zoned, and he's been pining after her for his whole life. He wants to be with her. He's so in love with her. But he doesn't really know that she was pining after him as well. So we do have a really good mutual pining situation here, and their friendship is just so beautiful. I loved it. This really is like a slow burn. This does end up being a marriage of convenience because Eva actually is pregnant, and this is one of my favorite tropes. I love this. If you guys have any more of this trope, let me know in the comments down below because I want to read more and I want to make a video of it because it's fastly becoming my favorite. And that's when the heroine is pregnant, but not with his baby. Nothing warms my heart more than a man stepping up for another man's child, him being there for the woman, him loving the woman and loving the child like it's his own. It just melts my heart. That's why P.S. You're Intolerable. You don't have to recommend that one to me. It's one of my 6-star reads, one of my favorite Julia Wolf reads. That's why I love that book so much. So anyways, she is pregnant. She had like a one-night stand. She had kind of crushed on her figure skating partner for like a long time, and he kind of let her down. Like that was never going to happen. And so she ends up going out and having a one-night stand, and she gets pregnant. And now she's very worried because she is pregnant, but she's training for the Olympics, and what's that going to be like? How is she going to continue training? And her insurance she didn't know she had good enough insurance. And, you know, it was going to look kind of bad that she ended up pregnant when it gets out to the media and everything. So he kind of offers up, like, let's get married. You can be under my insurance, and then it'll look like this is our baby. And, you know, we've been secretly dating or whatever. So they decide to do kind of like an arranged marriage. And so this is their romance. It is super sweet. I loved Luke so much. Like, he's top book boyfriend material. I love a book with longing, like just amazing longing in it. And he is delivering that in this. And I just love their relationship. I love how much he steps up for her and the baby. And it was adorable. So it was another hit for me. I'm really impressed with Julia Connors. So I really want to go back and read the other books in this series and read more from her. So I gave this one 5 stars and 2.5 chilies, and it had duet narration by Sean Masters and Savannah Peachwood, some of the best in the business. And so it was a fantastic audiobook. I think I listened to it in a day. Like, I couldn't put it down, and it was amazing. So highly recommend. If you haven't picked up that series yet, check it out. You could pick this up without reading any of the other books. I read the previous one, the 3rd book, and I hadn't read 1st and 2nd book yet either. So anyways, enough rambling. Let's move this on. All right. So then I had an ALC for Just One More Time by Carly Phillips. This was a really quick novella. So this was a novella ALC that I had, and I flew through it in one sitting. So very quick read. This is the 6th book in the Sterling family series. And this one is about Aiden Sterling. He is one of the Sterling brothers that we hadn't seen. He's kind of been absent because he actually left like when he was younger to become like a traveling photojournalist, I think it was, or just a journalist. So he was a traveling journalist, And he had actually had something happen when they shared a night together, him and Brooke. Brooke was actually like their maid or like live-in person's daughter. And so she was best friends with his sister. And actually his dad is like dating her mom now. But they had like shared one night together. She was really into him. And then randomly he just like announced that he was leaving and left. And so it really broke her heart. So now he's back to kind of learn the business and help out. So now he's going to be working with her. And he really wants to win her back. Like, he really regrets how he acted, and he was scared, and he just wanted to travel, and he didn't think they could be together, but he never even talked to her about it before he did that. So, yeah, he's got a little groveling to do, but this is a novella, so it's really quick. There's a suspense element that comes in at the end, where we have somebody that, something he was investigating kind of coming after him. So this was good. It was a quick, spicy, not too spicy. It was like 2.5 chilies. It was just a quick little novella that I enjoyed. I gave that one 4 stars. And that had dual narration by Connor Craze and Samantha Cook. Okay, so then I had another novella, which was an ALC. You'll see quite a bit of ALC novellas. There was a ton I got with Must Love Audio right now. But this one I was really excited for. This is When We Breathe by Kristen Proby. This is The Blackwells of Montana. This is 4.5. So in this, we have kind of like a polyamorous relationship that we were kind of hinted at. And we saw kind of happen. I think it was in book 3. Yeah, book 3. And so it was like one night we had Alex. Alex had like met these 2 guys. They are in a committed relationship, and she ends up going home with them. And so we were just very intrigued as readers by this whole little story, and we wanted more. And so Kristen Proby just gave it to us, you know. So she gave us a little novella that follows their relationship. I love the Blackwells of Montana series. If you've been following my channel or my recent reads, you've seen that I've given every single one of these books a 5 stars. This one, I kind of settled on a 4-star because it is a novella. We're not spending the time that she usually does building like a little bit more with the characters and falling in love and stuff. So it felt very insta-love, but you know, it's a novella. I was okay with it, and it was kind of taking her away from like what she's usually doing with this series. So in this, we have Adam, Gabe, and Alex, and they share that one night together. And, you know, Adam and Gabe are committed relationship, but they have shared women in the past. They just don't really do it anymore. But there's just something about Alex that they just really are gravitating toward, and they want her to be part of their relationship. But Alex is actually a sister to one of the other heroines. If you remember from like the first book, her father was very abusive, like really badly abusive, like tortured animals, did crazy stuff. And this was her sister. So she has a lot of trauma, and, you know, she doesn't really think she can be in committed relationship. She's, you know, really just wants her independence. And so the guy's wanting her to like move right in with him, like, is kind of freaking her out a little bit. And she doesn't totally want to be on board. And she kind of can't believe that they really want her to be in there as equally as like their relationship. So that's kind of like the conflict in there. But it has got a lot of spice. It's very spicy, some good sharing, a lot of fun times in here. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars and 4 chilies. It did have dual narration by Sean Masters, Aiden Snow, and Avery Saris. I think it's Saris or Karis. Anyways, it was great. Okay, I debated on the next one explaining everything about this book because this is actually our buddy read. This is Hit the Ground by Julia Wolf, and we are doing this for our buddy read. It is going to be on my channel on Saturday, the 22nd. We're doing it Saturday because I'm going out of town. Well, not out of town, it's kind of locally, but I'm going to Temecula to stay at the winery. Me and my mom always go do this kind of like staycation thing. And so I'm not going to be there Sunday. So and we had a lot of scheduling things. It's hard with Thanksgiving and all the stuff going around in this month. So we ended up settling on the 22nd at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my channel. So Hit the Ground is the third book in the Kelly Ranch series by Julia Wolf. If you know me at all, you know Julia Wolf is one of my favorite authors. She's one of my top 5 like contemporary authors right now. I just love her so much. So I was very excited to get to this book. Since I already had the arc, I already read it. So, and I think it released on the 6th, if I'm remembering correctly. I had so many releases this week. That's why it's heavily like a lot of audiobooks, like everything. I had like multiple releases on like the same days. So it was a lot. But, so I debated whether I should dive into this with you guys because I want you guys to watch the live show. But I understand it's kind of that time of year where it's hard to catch those. And I really want to promote this book and give it the love that it deserves. So I am going to give my full review here. But if you want to see all our deep thoughts and discussions, make sure you check out the live show. Okay. So this is about Caleb Kelly and Alice. And Caleb Kelly, we've been waiting for his book. He is the firstborn, the oldest son of, Elena and Locke, who are from Sweet Like Poison, which is one of my favorite Julia Wolf books. I love that couple so much. And that's part of the magic of this series is you get to see Locke and Elena as parents and just this amazing couple and how I just love everything about them. So that's also one of the things that just makes this series so special to me. But this one is Caleb's romance, and Caleb is a single dad. He's in his like mid to late 30s. So he has a 13-year-old son. He's running the Kelly Ranch. His dad still does some stuff, but like mostly it's on Caleb. So he's very focused on the ranch and being a good dad and giving everything to his kid that he needs to. He does have a good co-parenting thing with the mother, but there is some stuff going on where she has a newer boyfriend that's kind of shady, and he wants them to move to a different state for better job opportunities for him. But that would mean that she would take his son, I think it's Jesse, if I'm remembering correctly, and he is not going to have that. Like, Caleb is number one dad. He's not going to let that happen. So that's kind of a side plot too in this. But we have Alice, and she is our sweet. We've seen her in the previous books. You could tell she's been pining after Caleb for years, and he is just a clueless idiot about it. He really is. There's no other way to say it. He's just an idiot. Like, he's so clueless. He never really noticed her. She is the local librarian, and she also does bartending and serving like at the local bar, kind of where he always goes and eats. And so she's been crushing on him forever, but she's very quiet. She has a very sad family background that I'm not going to go into, but it's really made her feel like she needs to, like she's kind of invisible, not seen. All her family is gone, so she's all that's left. So she's very like alone. So I loved Alice's character. You just really feel for her. And then something happens where she ends up making a move one night, and she kisses him. And I was just like, loved that. I love that she finally made the move because she has been like having this unrequited love thing for him forever. So she finally made a move and then was asked him out on a date. And he's like, sure, yeah, I'll go on a date with you. And he's just so surprised by this. Like, he never really noticed her that way. Didn't think she would notice him. He's definitely like the dad bod rancher, I love him. But he starts to kind of panic because once it's like let known to people, his like sisters are like, yeah, she's been in love with you for like, she's been into you for years. Like, so don't fuck her over, because they know that this date means a lot more to Alice. And so that kind of freaks him out because he just really doesn't want anything else in his life. He's really good just being a dad, working on the ranch, and being part of the family. And that's all he really wants to work on. And so this freaks him out, and he basically shows up with like flowers and like tells her he can't do this date. And I loved it because Alice really was strong. Like, you think she's quiet and maybe like reserved, but she lets him know like that's fucked up. I understand your reasons. Thank you for being truthful. He wasn't being cruel. He just knew that he wasn't really in it for the long haul, and she probably would have been. He was just thinking a one date type of thing. And so she like literally tells him like, I don't want your pity flowers or your I'm not going on a date with you flowers. This would be the first time I ever got flowers from somebody. So no, thank you. And she decides at that point to basically kind of stop being in the shadows, stop living hidden, and go for it and get over him. And so she actually gets like a little glow up, a little makeover. His mom actually helps her. Like they kind of get together and she gets her hair done. And so she's feeling really good and she starts to go on some online dates. And now Caleb has noticed her. He's realized he is interested, you know, and it takes a while. So stick with it. This felt really realistic of like, not everything's like perfect, you know, and he's kind of realized he's been stuck in his head and have blinders on to the world and like everything around him. And so I love the conversations he has with his mom, conversations he has with Locke that kind of kick his butt into gear to basically realize he needs to go after her. But he's really going to have to really show her that he's 100% in. And I just really loved that because he does do a great job of this. I loved her bonding with his son. She's the librarian, so she's really been working with his son for a while. And so they have a really good relationship. And, you know, the way she's just very strong. She does step up to Caleb. She doesn't let him get away with things. So yeah. So I don't want to give too much away because there is stuff that happens that kind of pushes things into a different level that I liked. There is a suspense element at the end that it was okay. It didn't blow me away or anything, but it didn't detract from the book at all for me. But I just really loved this like very authentic, real romance between them. I think Julia Wolf does a really good job of like writing relatable, like real characters. And so this was just a very sweet, slow burn romance between them. And I had a wonderful time with it. So I love the Kellys. I love the Kelly Ranch. We get a character I was surprised from like the Savage U, I think it was. Or Savage Academy. I don't remember. But one of them is like at the end of this book. So that was interesting too. So I had a great time with this. I gave this 5 stars, of course. I always love Julia Wolf. And 2.5 chilies. Okay, so then I had an ALC, Hold Me Tight, by Jennifer Sucevik, and this is the second book in the Chicago Railers hockey series, and this is only my second book by her. I really enjoyed the first one, and so I really wanted to get this one, and I like this one even more because, again, we have another pining hero, and I just love a hero that is just pining after the woman, you know? And we have River and Callie in this. And River is top book boy for material. He is so swoony. He pulls out all the stops to finally get Callie. He is actually she's a single mom. So her baby's, daddy is a total scumbag, a loser, basically abandoned her and kind of like left her high and dry. She has her own bakery, but she's like in the red. She's really struggling to get by. She's barely making rent. And this guy's a pro hockey player and he's not even helping her. So this guy is a freaking scumbag in this book. Okay. But this is like one of the players on the same team as River. And River actually saw her and wanted her immediately, but then he found out she was with the loser. And so he never could go there. But now he's like finally ready to kind of make the move and get her to see that they could be together. And when she actually has like her rent go up and she's not going to be able to afford it, he offers to have her move in with him and she brings in her baby, and they basically start living together, and it goes from there. It's very sweet. He is just very swoony. I loved how like all in he was with her daughter, and he just wanted to be with her, and he like completely confesses his feelings and how long he's been into her. So it's just her coming to terms with that and kind of realizing what she deserves with River after being treated like crap this whole time. And it's very, very cute. So I ended up giving that one 5 stars and 2.5 chilies. That had duet narration by Grayson Owens and Vivian LaRue. It was a great audiobook, very swoony. I loved it. I can't wait to continue the series because it was hinting at the end for the next romance, and I'm really excited for that one. So anyways, hope you check out that one out. Okay. Oh, it's so hot. I don't know wherever you're at, but in California, I live in San Diego. It is freaking hot today. We don't get fall season here, which is always just sad. I love the fall and I want it to be fall here, and it's freaking hot today. So, okay. Anyways. All right, so the next one I had was an arc, and this was Cactus Heart by Clio Evans. This is the first book in her new series, Why Not? It's like this small town in Texas called Why Not? Like there's, I think like the founding family or something were called, like their last name was Why Not, I think. Anyways, it's like a little joke they always bring up, like why not? They're like all the stores are called Why Not? Like, it's cute. Anyways, this is Clio Evans, and Clio Evans is really good at writing BDSM, spicy romances. This is actually, an MMF romance between Avery and her brother's best friends. So in this, we have Avery, and she is an artist. She owns like the art store, and she does a lot of other stuff because her family is like high up in like the position of power, and they have a lot of responsibilities in the town. But she's like a free spirit artist, and she's kind of struggling to date because she dated one of her brother's like older friends previously, and he kind of became abusive, and so they had to like bring her back home to Why Not? And so now her brothers are super overprotective, and like it's driving her nuts. She is really close to one of their friends, Mateo. He is a sexy firefighter with glasses, and she's been into him for a couple years. They've both been like pining after each other, but Mateo think he can't go there because it's his best friend's little sister and all of that. And then we have Levi, and he is a friend from like way back of her brother's, and he is a pro hockey player, but he basically just like kind of left, abandoned his team. Didn't want anything in the spotlight. His body's really like broken down. He's just not having the love of the sport anymore. And so he just really needed to get away and get a break. So he's heading out to Why Not, where his dad lived, and he used to go out and visit him. And so he kind of runs into Avery, and they have a crazy first, not great introduction. He also ends up being her neighbor. And he is attracted to Avery and Mateo is really into them both. And seeing Levi kind of flirt and kind of get in the picture with Avery kind of pushes Mateo to finally be like, I want to go for it, So he actually wants a relationship with Avery, but he also wants Levi to get involved too. So they have to kind of have a secret relationship though, because, Levi's not going to be there that long. He's only going to be there 6 weeks. He has to get back to his team. His agent is like, you need to get back in the 6 weeks. So it's like, we got a deadline on this thing. And so, and he doesn't really know what he wants to do. So they enter into a relationship, and there's a lot of BDSM, there's a lot of kink, there's sharing, there's DP, there's bondage, toys. It's got all the goodies that you expect with Clio Evans. So I really love Clio Evans BDSM because she does it in a really sensitive way, and like real, like careful way, you know, where they actually talk about all their kinks. They actually even have like where Levi has like a spreadsheet because he like keeps a spreadsheet with all the kinks, and they talk about things they're okay with. Do they get safe words? You know, their hard limits, what they're not okay with. And so I really love that part of BDSM and the dom sub relationship. In this, Levi is actually a switch. He usually is like more of the dominant, but he's into Mateo being the dominant for them, and then he can be the dominant for Avery too. So I loved that. So this was great. I loved it. It was really cute. It didn't completely blow me away, you know, and I didn't love some of the choices that Levi was making at the end, but they are understandable. So I did still really enjoy it. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars, and it's 4 chilies. It is very spicy, so just be prepared. Then I had a novella ALC. This is Lettuce, Turnip, the Beet by Berlin Wick. This is another, you know, poly type of relationship situation. It's like an MMFM type of thing. We have Jasper, Wade, Major, and Abby. And Abby is a social media influencer, and she's going to they're all firefighters, and she's going to the fire station to take donations on Christmas Eve. And she basically meets all the firefighters, and she realizes a couple of them kind of have this tension where they're into each other, but one isn't like completely, it's kind of like a bi-awakening for him. And I didn't love the pressure they were like giving him because he wasn't totally on board right away. It was like, let him get there in his time. It's his bi-awakening. Didn't love that. But she basically gets involved with all of them, and you know, there's a weird third act kind of thing that was dumb, and then you know, they come for her and they're all happily ever after. What was dumb about this was I just didn't fully connect to any of this, and it was in one day. Like, I'm okay with a novella, but you need to spread out the time, not like one day of them just all fucking each other and then they're like in love and want to be together. It just felt a little ridiculous, and I just didn't really connect to it. It did have duet narration. The narration was really good. If you're looking for a quick, spicy read, this is a really fast one. You can listen to it in a couple of hours. I mean, I listened to like 2.5 speed, so I can get through it really quick. But it had duet narration by James Cassidy, Ryan Lee Dunlap, Alex Kidd, and Emery Erickson. But I just didn't fully buy into this whole dynamic and it being in like one day. So I ended up giving that one 3 stars and 3 chilies. Okay, I need to move this along because this is going to be a long video again. Okay, so the next book that I had was an ARC. I had Only December by Noelle Adams. If you know Noelle Adams, she also goes by Claire Kent, which I'm a big fan of. And I read a couple Noelle Adams, so I was excited to get this ARC because I want to read more. And this was adorable. Now, this is, I think, a little over 200, so it's kind of like a novella. A little bit, maybe more. I don't know. Depends on what you consider a novella. But she managed to tell like a full story with a full romance with amazing character development, like such intimacy between the characters, that this is how you want to do it, not like the one I just talked about. So this is between Douglas and Mona. And Douglas, this is an age gap, although Mona is adult. She's, you know, in her 20s, but he's older. I think it's like maybe 20 years. I'm not sure, but he's older. He is a widower. His wife died 10 years ago. And so he's kind of shut himself in. He is I think he was like more in the academic setting. He did philosophy and taught that, and he writes books and all that kind of stuff. And so he lives in this beautiful mansion, like near a lake, very beautiful setting. I loved the setting in this. And Mona is actually a freelance housekeeper where she comes into these specific jobs and kind of sees what things need to be done better. She works on the household and kind of figures things out. And so her job is to be there for the month of December. He has these 2 kind of elderly, cute married couple that runs the house. And so they never really get a vacation. So he actually sends them off on a vacation while she's there for the month. He's going to have family come for Christmas. And so she's going to kind of run the household while they're gone. And so they end up kind of spending some time together. She finds him very serious and like all obsessed with his work. And so she kind of like makes it her job to kind of annoy him, but like get involved. And she tells him, you know, why don't you take a break from that and like actually just do things? Get out of the house, you know, get outside of your schedule. And so they end up agreeing to kind of do things every day together. And so as they're doing that, they really have like realized their attraction to each other. And so they want to kind of explore things there, but it is only going to be for the month of December. So that's why it's only December. But of course, like the more they get together, like, I mean, their little dates, they are spending such quality time together, like going for walks. They go into town and they're like walking through like the Christmas store and like everything, getting hot chocolate together. They're just really like getting to know each other on a more intimate level. They have really beautiful conversations about things. So it just felt like such a mature romance, and you really felt like they were falling in love with each other, and it was super sweet. So I really loved this. It was perfect. I mean, it's not overly Christmas. Like if you want a Christmas book that isn't like the Hallmark shove down your throat Christmas kind of rom-com, this is perfect. It's got some Christmas vibes. It's got beautiful winter setting and like a really sweet romance that you really can buy into. So I gave this 5 stars and 2.5 chilies. Okay, so then I finally listened to War. I have never continued on with the Four Horsemen series, and I really needed to. So recently I reread by listening with the graphic audio of Pestilence. Still loved it. And the graphic audio, I think, was just released for War. So I put a hold on it on Libby, so I finally got it. So I listened to the graphic audio for this. I really loved the graphic audio, made it a lot more exciting, because I think this one wasn't as strong as Pestilence for me. But I still really enjoyed it. In this, we have War, obviously, and he is one of the Four Horsemen. This is the second book in the series. And he has risen, and he's basically bringing war across the land. And he comes across Mona, and he basically recognizes her as his wife. And so he basically takes her with him, and she's kind of forced to go on the road with him while he's like killing all these people. He can like raise the dead, so he has like an army of dead too, and that was kind of crazy. But you know, so this is their romance as they're kind of like together. She's like can't get behind what he's doing, but she's really attracted to him and drawn to him. And so, you know, how can they be together if he's going to be killing all her people, you know, and bringing war to the world? And it's kind of like the same thing with Pestilence. He's going to have to wake up and realize what's important to him. And does he really want to continue that mission? So I really liked it. Didn't love it as much as Pestilence, but I still really enjoyed it. I think the graphic audio made this really good. There was like a twist at the end and big like shocking moment that like actually got me, and I was like freaking out. So it was really good. So I gave this 4 stars and 2.5 chilies. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of rush through these because I have a lot of books this week. Okay, so I had another ALC, and this was Enzo by Eva Winners. This is the 3rd book in the Legacy of Heathen series. This is a mafia series. This is another arranged marriage. This is between Enzo. He is the son of the Marchetti Mafia, and then Penelope, the daughter of the Demaro Mafia, which is more like these Italian mafias. And this is kind of like a 2nd generation series, but I never read the other ones, so I think you could go into it. This one wasn't as confusing, and I think it's the best one that I've read in the series so far. Enzo has been like kind of obsessed with Penelope for a while. He's been watching out for her. And he like had an arranged marriage with her, but they never really met. And he's been watching out for her for a couple years. There was a really sad storyline in this that is just really heartbreaking of Penelope's sister has cancer and has been like waiting for, transplant, anything like that. And she is dying, and she's really getting close to the end in this book. And so Enzo actually has been watching out for her, and she didn't really want to give her random husband that she didn't know her virginity. So she does that typical thing we get in mafia romance where she goes and has like a one night stand at like the sex club type of thing. And Enzo is the guy she ends up losing her virginity to, but she had no idea. So when they get married and she figures that out, she is like really pissed. Like, hey, you were like stalking me. You set that up. I feel humiliated. How could you do that? It doesn't last too long though, because these two are really great together. They have amazing connection. And he's also doing stuff behind the scenes because he's been trying to save her sister. Might not be going about it the best way, but there's a whole side plot that goes into that. So I was surprised by the emotion that was brought up in this one, especially with the sister storyline and what goes on there. So I was pleasantly surprised. And so I enjoyed this a lot more. I was kind of going back and forth in between my rating, and I did end up deciding to give it 4.5 stars because I gave the other ones, I think 4 stars, but this one was better, but it just wasn't a full 5-star for me. So I gave it 4.5 stars, 2.5 chilies. This had duet narration by Jason Clark and Lucy Rivers. And I had a really good time with the audiobook, so definitely recommend that. Okay, so I had another ALC novella. I'm going to talk about this one really quick because there's really not much to it. There's not much plot. It's just smut, and it dives right into the smut. So this is One More Gift by Holly June Smith. This is a spicy little novella. It's kind of like they're snowed in. It's at the cabin. Saskia is finally getting her divorce. She was like, it was an amicable divorce. They both just didn't want the same things. She didn't really want kids, and her husband did. And so they kind of grew apart. And so she's finally that's about to get finalized. And she's been really into one of her really longest friends, named Henry. And I think it's Henry, right? Yeah, I think it's Henry. Sorry. And so they're finally going to get together. They kind of messed around when they were younger, but they're finally going to get together. They're going to be staying at her cabin. It's Christmas time, so there's some slight Christmas vibe in here, not much. And then who shows up right when they're about to get on is her soon-to-be ex-husband shows up. And things go from there, and they decide to kind of all mess around. This ended up having some surprising good stuff between the guys. I will warn you right off the bat, only 2 people end up together in this. So it's not like a poly relationship. It was kind of like her husband showing up, wanting to give her one of her like kinky times that she always wanted, her fantasy of like a threesome. And so that's what happens here. There's some like BDSM, like stuff that goes on, some bondage and like blindfolds and gagging and all this stuff. So it is 100% just smut. Just know that. It didn't have any plot. No. Did I still kind of enjoy it? Yeah, it was a quick, spicy little read. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars and 4 chilies. It is very spicy. And it had duet narration by John York, Ryan Mayers, and Evelyn Rose. Okay. I think this is finally the last book. Here we go. We're at the last book finally. All right. So I had an ALC of Risky Match. I also received the book from the author. I got the ALC through Must Love Audio, and then the author actually was giving out some PR boxes as well. So I did have that. I'll probably be posting that short soon, hopefully, of the box. But this one was already out, so the book was already out, but the audiobook is releasing, I think, on the 11th. So this is actually my first book by this author. This is J.D. Carothers. This is the first book in the Royal Spy series. This one was interesting. I really thought it was unique because this is British. So we got all British. We got a couple British narrators here that I loved. And this is like set around royalty, but also billionaires and then spies. So it's got a little mix of what's going on here. And what I liked about this was it actually followed tennis, which I don't think I've ever read a book that is around the sport of tennis. So that was interesting. So in this, we have Blake and Brianna. And Blake is actually top of his game. He is trying to win at Wimbledon. It's not gone his way a couple times. And in the opening of this book, he's let down because he didn't win. And he's forced to go to this like after party for like the winners, and he doesn't really want to be there. But he's introduced to Brianna. She was also a tennis player, but she's actually also a princess. So she is a tennis player. She's really good, but with her duties as a princess, she's not allowed to really spend as much time competing. So she's never really had the opportunity to go to Wimbledon, but they end up dancing and hitting it off, and they have a one-night stand, but like they're both in, like he knows like it can't go anywhere. She's a princess, and like he's 100% focused on tennis. So it's just a one-night stand. And then a couple years later, she is actually going to be able to play at Wimbledon, and she's so thrilled, but she finds out that she has to play doubles, which she was doing mostly singles, and they've doubled her with Blake. And so, but really the reason she got there on her own merit for sure. But another reason they're having her do doubles is because she is actually a part of this like spy organization. The royals kind of have this where, a lot of them aren't going to be like the king or queen. They're just spares. And so they still want to do something for their country. So they are spies. And so she's been trained in that and everything. And so there is a kind of a crime happening that she needs to spy on Blake. They think he's like one of the main suspects. It's this like coin dealing, like whatever. It's whatever. It was an okay storyline, but it was interesting enough to kind of keep you engaged, but it didn't take over the story either. So basically she's forced to do doubles with him. He's kind of irritated. He's very grumpy because he has been struggling to win at Wimbledon and things haven't gone his way. And now he's forced to spend time doing doubles with somebody he's never played with. When he wants to focus on his singles and just training on that. She ends up moving into his house because they have no place for her, which is kind of set up perfectly so that she could spy on him. And she feels really guilty because she doesn't think he's guilty, but she has to investigate him. And so she has a lot of guilt over that. So as they spend more time together, they're really like supporting each other in their sport, and it's kind of like a slower burn of them really being attracted to each other. And then she's also trying to solve this mystery of what's going on with him. So that's the main setup of this. I found it very unique. I had a really good time with it. It had dual narration by James Joseph and Stephanie Nemeth Parker. They were fantastic. I love listening to British accents. And Stephanie did a really good job when she had to speak like Italian and stuff. I'm always impressed by that when narrators are able to do that. So I had a good time with this. This one was 4.5 stars and 2 chilies. I did think, when there is the reveal, that's why I didn't give it full 5 stars. There's a reveal of her being the spy. Like she gets mad that he jumps to conclusions and is mad at her. And like, then he had to grovel. And I really didn't think that he should have to grovel. Like you were literally spying on him. So anyway, so I gave it 4.5 stars and had a good time. All right, so those are the books that I read this week. Thank you so much for watching this. As always, make sure you are hitting that subscribe button. I've been kind of staying at the same level lately for some reason, so I appreciate any support. If you are new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hype the video. Any bit of your support really helps. Leave me a comment and like the video, and I will see you guys on the next one.